Hello everyone and welcome to a Farming Sim 17 tutorial. Today we are talking about tree harvesters. If we go into the shop in forestry equipment, the tree harvesters are these two beasts of machines right here and here. So the Scorpion King was in Farming Sim 15. This is really large, really powerful. It can cut down any tree on the map. This one's new in this game. It's a little smaller. It even says very large trees cannot be processed. We'll talk about that. But it is way more affordable. So we're going to look at both these today, how to use them, and what trees they can and cannot cut. So first of all, when I started playing this game, I figured this little one, when it says that large trees cannot be processed, I thought it meant if you look at these two pine trees, it could process the smaller one and not the large one. That turns out not to be true. This thing, this kind of cheaper one, can actually cut down these large pine trees. So let's look at how to do that, and then we'll look at the Scorpion King. So a tree harvester will basically cut down a tree and then process it by cutting off the branches and cutting it into logs of whatever length you choose. So the smaller one can do logs of 6 meters, and the large one can do 8 maximum. So we're going to turn on the harvester, and once it's on, this will open up like that. I do have my controls up in the top left, and you'll see why in just a little bit. All you need to do is line this up with the tree, and you can look at your controls for how to move this thing around, and you'll see now that I have a cut option. If I hit X, I want to get it as low as possible on the tree, just so I get more tree, and hit X. It'll cut it and then grab onto it when it falls. So now I have it grabbed onto. I can drag it wherever I want. Now I can process it into logs of 1 to 6 meters. You can see on the Y button it says change cut length. If I want a small log, I can hit Y at 1 meters, or sorry, I can hit X to cut, and I'll have a 1 meter log. So I could probably go pick that up with my hands and throw it wherever I want. If I'm wanting to sell the logs, I probably want a really large one, so I'm going to change it to 6 meters because that is the maximum for this one. And then when I hit X, it'll cut a 6 meter log. And then when it's done with the tree, it'll just disappear, whatever's left, and then you can go cut down another one. And that's the basics of using a harvester. Let's look here at the trees it cannot cut down. So we have the same one here, kind of the smaller harvester. Now when it says it can't process large trees, it's talking about the trunk thickness, not the height. So you can see here, these trees have really thick trunks, and this one right here, not so much. So if I drive up to this one, I'm going to turn on the harvester. It's going to tell me that it can't do it. So if I go up to it and try, it says this tree is too thick for this machine. Granted, they do need to add an O to the word "to" in this case, but that's alright. I don't know why it keeps disappearing. But we know that we can't process that tree. However, we could do that one. If I go up to it, I can line it up. You should see cut in the top left. That means that it's able to cut down, and then I can go ahead and process it. It is important to note, once you have it cut, don't get out, because it's going to drop it. And so now I don't have a hold of it anymore. You can, with this one it's a little tougher, because this one, the other disadvantage of this smaller one is that the arm doesn't have as much maneuverability or manipulation as the large one, as we'll see in a second. But if you can try to get this back over the tree and cut it again, and then it'll grab onto it. Like I said, with the smaller one it's really hard to get it like that because you just don't have as much control over the arm, but it is possible to pick it up once it's dropped. But it's more difficult, so just try not to. Just stay in the machine. Alright, so now we have this big beast of a thing. This will process any tree. So same thing though, you go up to it, you'll see the word cut. Now this one, here's where it's really important. You can see this one, I can move it up and down like this. Right? It doesn't seem like that big a deal, but on this little one, you don't have that option. I'm doing the same thing, and it only moves it in and out. It doesn't move it up and down. That actually becomes really, really huge when you're trying to manipulate these large trees. So that's one reason I really like this one, is just because of that one range of motion that you don't have on the other one. But anyway, turn it on. Get it as low as possible, which is much easier on this one. I'm looking at the top left, cut, and there you go. Same thing, now you can drive it around. It is possible to lose it if you go too crazy, but it's really difficult. I mean, this thing will grip onto it really nicely. Again, since this is a little more maneuverable, I can lift it up, I can put it really high in the air. If you want to try to unload it right onto a trailer or a wood chip or anything, you can usually do that. Again, if I want to change cut length, this one goes up to 8 meters, so you'll get a little more money. And then I hit the X button to cut, and there's a log. If I want to be able to pick these up, it's probably safe to do 1 to 2 meters. It kind of depends on what end of the tree you're on. Now that we're getting to the thinner end, I should be able to pick up these 2-meter logs. Again, I'm going to drop it once I get out. Kind of wish I wasn't in a field of wheat. That was poor planning. But anyway, yeah, so now in this game, here's 1 meter. I can pick it up, throw it, have fun all day. That's too big, too big, too big, too big. It kind of depends on the size of the trunk. Those smaller pine trees that I cut first, you can usually do 3, 4, 5 meters and pick them up because the trunks are smaller. But that's basically it. I am going to cut forward to show you kind of a neat little trick to use with tree harvesters. So, with enough practice, you'll kind of get used to the controls of this thing. Again, it's way easier to maneuver a tree with this big one. This is a lot harder to do with the small one. I'm going to show it with this placeable here. This is going to chop logs and sell them directly, but you can do this with any wood chipper. If you want to put these logs directly on a trailer, whatever you want to do, you can usually manipulate it well enough to do it directly from the machine without having to have the middle like the middle ground of a log fork or anything like that. So I kind of have it set up here decently enough. I'm going to do 1 meter logs just because it doesn't matter for this machine. But now when I cut it, oops, I hit the wrong button. Now when I cut it, it'll go right on there and I don't have to mess with it. And I can just do that for the whole tree once I get it into position. So again, you'll get used to it enough that you'll be able to start doing it, but yeah, it just takes practice. But it's very helpful and a huge time saver when you're trying to mess with logs, to not have to kind of mess with the log fork or anything like that. So, but sometimes it can even be messier trying to do this. It just sort of depends on the day, I guess. So that will do it for, no, one last thing. If you look at the price, I just want a big warning. If you buy this one, be aware that it does cost $1,640 a day just to keep it. So this might be a good one to lease. Find a place of trees that you really want to tear down, and then lease it, take down a lot of trees, and then return it, because this is a really expensive piece of equipment to own per day. This one's about half as much. So just wanted to throw that out there as well in case you don't look at that in the shop. So that will do it for tree harvesters. If you have any questions, please ask in the comments below. Leave a like and or dislike if you like or disliked. Subscribe if you feel like it. And of course, have yourselves a very nice day.